My name's David Adams. I'm the Dean of the Medical School and a former Birmingham medical student. What we're hoping to do in this session is to give you some advice about writing your CV. And certainly my own experience as a medical student was that I really had very little guidance and help on how to do this, what to include, and what were the sort of things that the people who are reading your CV were going to be looking for. We'll respond to questions from students and we'll have a series of tips from experts about what sort of things they would be looking for.
Hi, I'm Jenny Mullins-White. I'm a careers advisor at the University of Birmingham, and today I'm here to answer questions from medical students about their CV.
How does an academic CV differ from a normal CV? Should it have a special format? And how should I structure it to attract the attention of the reader?
Brilliant. That is a really good question, because what you've said there is to attract the attention of the reader, and that's the main thing. So whoever's reading your CV, that's the person that you need to attract. People look at CVs and think there's one set format, and an academic CV has to attract the attention of the academic and to demonstrate that you're going to meet their criteria. So it's a great CV, but you need to pitch it directly to what they're looking for. You'll know that from the person spec, you'll know that from the job opportunity, that there'll be certain key things that they're looking for, and that's what needs to be in your CV.
What are the general questions about the candidate that the assessor's trying to answer by reading the CV?
So the general questions that they're trying to answer is about the suitability that you are for that opportunity, whether it's a vacancy or a place on the academic foundation programme, but it's the criteria that are laid out on the person's specification. So that's the document where they're looking at your key skills, knowledge, experience and qualities. That's what they'll be looking for on your CV, and in a very short period of time.
In what order do we put the different sections like prizes, audits and publications, and how much information should we include for each of these?
So when you're looking at the order of your CV, you're going to start off with your contact details at the top of the CV, and followed by sort of a personal profile or a little bit of a pitch. And then generally speaking, you go straight to your qualifications. That's the thing that you're doing at the moment, and that's the most relevant thing. So you'd start with your medical qualification. What's really important is that you demonstrate how different that is from other medical degrees, because they're all slightly different. So I would consider bullet pointing some of the key features. So start off with some of the placements that you've been on, and perhaps some SSAs or student selected activities or modules that you've undertaken. Then when you've done your qualifications there, I would then move on to according to what the reader's looking for. So if, for example, they're looking for teaching experience as a priority, I would start with that. If they're looking for research interest, then I would start with that. Generally speaking, I would encourage people to start off with publications, because that's probably the most significant thing on your CV. Then go to presentations, and then think about prizes or audits. But as I said, the whole time, think about what the reader is looking for and make sure your CV matches that. When you've done that, then start thinking about additional skills and achievements you might want to flag up, such as life support, sign language, driving licence, IT skills, all those sorts of things. And then think about putting a few details about your interests at the end of your CV, and then details of 2 referees.
What aspects should an academic CV cover?
Okay, that's a really good question about the academic CV, because on ordinary CV you would have your contact details, you would have your education, your qualifications and your employment experience. But for an academic CV, you're trying to influence that reader by demonstrating your suitability. So it'll be looking for things to demonstrate you've gone out of your way, you've demonstrated motivation. So this could be things such as presentations, so that could be an oral presentation at a conference, it could be a poster presentation. They'll be looking for things such as have you published? So whether it's got a PubMed ID or whether it's for a particular magazine or article. They want to look if you've done audit, whether you've gone out of your way to do research and get involved. So all of these things, and including conferences, would all belong on an academic CV.
Is it useful to have a blurb at the start detailing your interest in academic medicine?
It's absolutely crucial to have that on your CV. Rather than call it a blurb, let's call it a personal profile. And essentially it's a very short pitch to describe to the reader your current situation, key skills about yourself or things they should know, and then what you're hoping to do next. See it as an advert, see it as your opportunity to say, this is my CV, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. So that little bit of blurb, make it no more than 6 lines, it's 3 key points. Your current situation, your skills and interests, and then finally what you're looking for, what you're seeking. So what opportunity that you're applying for, and maybe even link that into your career goal.
What stands out more, the number of publications and audits or the quality of these?
I get asked this all of the time. This is probably the most frequently asked question, and I will say it to you as I say to them, it's your quality and not the quantity of it. People obsess about the number of things that they've done. What's more important is the impact that you've had and how you went about it. So it has to be the quality of what you've done rather than just listing things. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up if you haven't got that many things to put down there. Talk about conferences that you've been to or the opportunities that you've had to get involved. You might not have been published, but you have had the chance to present orally about a particular thing. So it's quality and not quantity.
How relevant are your medical school grades for an academic application?
Okay, when it comes to your grades, they are going to be interested in how you've performed at medical school. So there's a very good chance that they'd like to see your decile position, but they don't necessarily want to see everything. So first of all, I'd just clarify with who's going to get your CV. Do you need an exact transcript? Do you need a breakdown? But generally speaking, you would give your decile position where you were in your year. Don't forget, if you've intercalated beforehand, they would like to know the degree classification for that degree there. If they want more information, as I've said, they'll ask for more grades, but it is helpful for them to get an idea of how you're doing academically. But remember, they will take other things into consideration as well.
In terms of soft skills, is it too cliche to write about, for example, good time management skills, effective team player, and other such things?
Okay, it's tricky because we can all get into cliches, but actually all of the skills that you've just said are crucial to be a successful doctor and to be successful in an academic career. Rather than just list them, which the temptation is to do is just say, I'm good at this, I can do that. Instead, demonstrate how you've used those particular skills and what was the impact. So it's much better to say effective teamwork skills through developing a particular project, demonstrating excellent communication skills from oral presentations through to teaching medical students. So give an example, give some context, and demonstrate the impact that you've had, particularly if you've had positive feedback on your communication, teamwork, or leadership skills.
Should I include non-academic work?
Non-academic work, if we're looking at things such as employment or voluntary work, whether it's something exciting that you've done or whether it's the fact you've been working in ASDA over the summer holidays, is useful to put on your CV. It shows that you've done particular things. The problem becomes where the CV ends up being focused on your part-time jobs and not on your academic achievements. So yes, do mention other things, keep it in balance, keep it into perspective, you may want to group similar things together. So for example, if you've done lots of bar work or shop work, you might put customer service roles and just bullet point some of the things that that's taught you, teamwork and communication skills.
Do we include personal interests or hobbies such as playing the violin in an academic CV, or is it purely just academic achievements?
It isn't just about academic achievements. It's really important to give an idea about you. So please do include your interests, but keep it in balance. So don't put too much information. But if you're interested in an area such as sports medicine, it would be relevant to go into great detail about sports. But remember, who's reading it? Keep it in balance.
So what I think is important for a good CV is that this is logical and structured. So I think before you start writing it and putting pen on paper, you have to think of how you're going to structure this to bring out the best in yourself, really. I think long rambling paragraphs with lots of words will easily put anyone who's reviewing applications off. And you have to bear in mind that lots of these people will be reviewing lots and lots of applications, so they need to be able to distill the important information very quickly.
The key thing, I guess, that I like to see in a CV is, have you answered the questions that the particular job are asking of you? So having a generic CV is absolutely fine, but if you don't tailor it for the particular job you're going for, the reviewer and the people looking at your CVs will not find the answers they want.
You start your CV with a personal statement, giving a brief summary of yourself, but importantly outlining what your career ambitions are, where you wish to go, and those career ambitions ideally should obviously be applicable to that job, that job should fit in with those career ambitions.
Now, if you're having to prepare a CV in a particular format because you're actually applying online, it's even more important to make sure you answer each section appropriately, because remember that marks are going to be scored for every particular section.
So it's also important that you, I think you should avoid using fancy paper and fancy fonts. That may look good and that may be very suitable for other projects, but I think what reviewers want to judge is the person on the paper, not the actual quality of the paper. Some fonts make it difficult to read, so I think a standard font on good quality paper, highlighting what's your important attributes, and a font that is not too big and not too small.
Apply the Barmaids Test. That means that you give it to somebody who is intelligent but ignorant and ask them what they make of your CV. Try it out on a few people. So these would be my key tips for any CV, and in particular for academic CVs. How do you stand out from the crowd? What's your unique selling point? What is it that you have done that shows you have a commitment to a career in academic medicine? What has demonstrated leadership? What has demonstrated that you have novel ideas? Are you the right person to have a career in the sort of specialty that you wish?
You always need to think about who you're writing the CV for. So at the moment, that will probably be your CV for your foundation posts, but in the future you'll be applying for different jobs, and it's important that you tailor your CV to the job that you're applying for. So give it relevance to the people who are going to be reading it. The second point I'd make is don't fill it up with gratuitous facts that don't really tell anybody anything. Make sure that everything you write in it is backed up by fact and is relevant to the application and tells the reader something about you that they don't get from the rest of the CV.
I think you should also keep it relevant. So it has to be focused and geared towards the particular job you are applying to, and whatever experience or whatever attributes that you outline there that are applicable to yourself should be relevant and should be recent. So whatever you did when you were 5 years old probably will no longer be relevant to this application, and therefore again, in order not to keep going on and start rambling, I think it would be important that you keep those things out and that you highlight the very important things.
Publications, of course, people are interested in, but if you just put down a long list without explaining how they particularly are relevant to the area of interest that you have or where you want to pursue your research, that's not particularly helpful.
Hopefully you found it really helpful today to listen to the students' questions, maybe they were the same as yours, and to listen to what I said. One thing I would say about your CV, don't worry too much about the length. Probably 2 pages of A4 is just fine, but if you've done loads of things, it may go longer than that. But don't go anywhere over 4 pages. People just aren't going to have time to read it. When it comes to your CV, make sure it's clear. Don't use boxes so it looks as though it's full of tables and messy. Make it easy for the reader to read in probably just under a minute. So when you have that lovely CV in front of you, it will look great if you keep all of the dates justified onto the right-hand side. Generally speaking, do reverse chronology. In other words, start with the most recent first. But, as I said, if the recruiter is looking for your teaching experience first, then you might put that heading first above your research experience. So remember the golden rules. Look at the person's specification or the vacancy details. Work out what the reader is looking for and ensure that is met on your CV. Don't have any gaps. Make sure that it follows in a logical sequence. I hope this has been useful for you and you feel encouraged now to go out and get together your CV.
And I'd just like to say good luck with your job applications and hope you have perfect CVs and get the jobs you apply for.